WISC TV now presents For the Record. Years providing and supporting essential investigative journalism. A look at the work of the Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism is next on For the Record. Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil Heinen. Since its inception in 2008 and founding in 2009 in the heart of the Great Recession, as the gathering storm clouds over the American newspaper industry quickly evolved into a destructive vortex, the Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism has both filled a gaping hole in long-standing journalism responsibilities and served as a likely model for the future of American journalism. Its presence here in Madison, Wisconsin is a source of some considerable pride and a testament to the courage and tenacity and commitment of co-founders, former Wisconsin State Journal investigative journalists and editors Andy Hall and Dee Hall. And I'll let them speak to the wisdom of their gamble, its success and future. But we're going to start with a trailer for a documentary produced by WCIJ in collaboration with 12 Letter Films to give you some frame of reference for considering WCIJ's work.
Under my administration, anyone who illegally crosses the border will be detained until they are removed out of our country and back to the country from which they came.
Llevo trabajando 17 años para este rancho. Así, yo he visto crecer estos ranchos, yo he visto crecer con la mano de obra ilegal.
If ICE came in here and checked my employees and found that they were undocumented, and those 10 people left, my next option, of course, is to try to find a market for my cows and sell them, and I wouldn't be able to farm anymore.
After Mr. Trump win, my wife get worried about either me or her get deported for some reason. So she's really afraid about that.
Hay mucho miedo, bueno, más cuando tenemos hijos, porque no sabes si van a llegar y te los van a quitar.
¿Qué haces? Así, aunque con miedo, pero necesitas trabajar.
I'm joined now by Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism Executive Director Andy Hall, WCIJ Managing Editor D.J. Hall, and Wisconsin Public Radio Special Projects Director Bridget Bowden. Bowden. We talked about that, and I said, Bowden. Welcome, all three of you. Really nice to have you on.
Thanks, Neil.
I'm glad that was a video piece. I was talking about the newspaper industry, and I think that's an appropriate context for this. But investigative journalism in all of its forms is so important these days. Andy, for those who don't know the breadth and the work of WCIJ, explain it for us.
Yeah, thank you. We have a pretty short mission. We strive to increase the quality, quantity, and understanding of investigative journalism while informing the citizenry and strengthening democracy. So out of all of that, we produce investigative reports, and we also train the current and future generations of investigative journalists.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, back in 2008, 2009, over the course of the 10 years, we have seen newspapers shrink staffs, editorials have been cut, cartoonists, reporters, so many things. But as I recall, investigative journalism, long-form journalism, was one of the first things to go. Is that accurate?
Unfortunately, that was the case with the Great Recession, and it's been the case with previous economic downturns. Investigative journalism is the most difficult, most time-consuming, and therefore most expensive type of journalism. So what we're producing at the Center for Investigative Journalism, to some extent, replaces the lost capacity, the hollowed-out newsrooms here across Wisconsin and across the country. We have a nonprofit model supported through philanthropy, and we're collaborative rather than just competitive, and that makes a difference and helps do some of the things that news organizations can no longer do on their own.
And just to add one last piece of context to this, Dee, it was only 10 years before that the whole computer-assisted reporting journalism work was really starting to be part of the work of journalists. And of course, you and Andy were right at the forefront of that at the Wisconsin State Journal.
Right. I'll give Andy the credit for the data work. What I would do is rely on him to do data analysis. But I was an investigative reporter. I'm still an investigative reporter and editor. And it's a combination of both new tools like computer-assisted journalism, but also shoe leather and sourcing and getting the story right. We also do extensive fact-checking on all of our stories, which is something that most news organizations really don't have time to do. We feel it's essential because we are giving our stories out to editors across the state, across the country now, thanks to a partnership with the Associated Press, and every word needs to be as right as we can make it. And so those are things that we're using now. Either some of them are tools that we had back when we worked at a newspaper, but some of them are ones that we're using now specifically with the Investigative Center.
So just to be clear, the center decides what areas of interest it wants to pursue and what stories it wants to pursue, but those stories are anyone has access to those, to republish them, rebroadcast them, that kind of thing?
That's right. We publish all of our content on our website, wisconsinwatch.org, but also our content is made available for free to other news organizations. Since we started giving the content away, now 750 news organizations have used that content in one form or another. We've produced about 350 major reports, and we track the pickups of our content. Currently, close to 75 million people have looked at our content or read it or heard it in some fashion.
Give me just some rough idea of the areas of interest and why those areas of interest, Steve.
We cover everything that we think might be important to people in Wisconsin. So we've done a lot of environmental stories.
Yep,
we've done
water.
Criminal justice stories. We have done immigration stories, as you can see from the trailer. We have done stories about social welfare programs. I did a story not long ago about the food share program and the plans to increase the work requirements and how that's playing out not only in Wisconsin but across the country. So we basically pick what we think are the best stories, the ones that are not being covered. That's another aspect to it. There are many fine journalists in Wisconsin and they're doing fine work on some stories, and we're not trying to duplicate that. We're not trying to run with the herd in a sense, because we feel like that's an area where perhaps an issue is already being well covered by the media, and we don't need to pile on there. We're trying to carve out areas that reporters don't have time to look into, and that's the area where we really try to shine and focus our efforts.
I want to talk a little bit about who's doing that work so we can introduce WPR's Bridget Bowden, and we're going to do that when we come back right after this.
For the Record, sponsored by MG&E, your community energy company.
It's the Labor Day sale at Denver Mattress. Choose from 10 queen-size adjustable bed sets, all under $9.99. Or the Summit Queen mattress for $179.99. Save $550 with the purchase of an Elite, Luxe, or Breeze mattress. And best yet, choose from free Bose noise-masking earbuds, a free $300 Furniture Row gift certificate, or a free 50-inch LED TV with any purchase of $19.99 or more. Labor Day savings today, only at Denver Mattress.
Come out to Middleton's Good Neighbor Festival. This end of the summer celebration offers a full weekend of free live entertainment. There'll be 3 stages of great music and 25 different bands. Plus, you'll find fun things to do for the whole family. Go on lots of carnival rides, play games, browse the craft fair, register for the 5K run or walk, catch the 2 parades, and don't forget to bring your appetite. Don't miss Middleton's Good Neighbor Festival. For complete information, visit goodneighborfestival.com.
I'm Clint.
I'm Phil, saving you tons and tons of money on tissue and towels.
6 mega rolls of Scott paper towels, $3.99. 4 160-count packs of Kleenex, just $3.99.
Ay caramba, what a heck of a deal.
4 packs of Kleenex, $3.99, and 6 mega rolls, $3.99.
Hot, hot, hot.
Service and savings. It's Goodman's.
Congratulations to Marcia Michelon and Jacob Mills, the ringleaders of Wild Rumpus Circus and Mazomania.
That's all we want people to try to do here at camp is just try. You might surprise yourself.
I couldn't imagine doing anything else, for one thing. I mean, we feel just so lucky that we get to work with kids in this way.
If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Sponsored by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries and by Concordia University.
It is the 10th anniversary of the Wisconsin Center of Investigative Journalism, and Andy Hall and DJ Hall, who are the founders of WCIJ, are with me, along with Bridget Bowden, who is with Wisconsin Public Radio. And if you can just tell us, Bridget, how did you get involved, and what's your experience been like?
I started working at the Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism in 2015. I was the first Mike Simonson Memorial Investigative Reporting Fellow. And
who's Mike Simonson?
Mike Simonson was a WPR reporter up in Superior. Okay. Great reporter, and when he passed away, a fellowship was started in his honor, and I was lucky enough to be the first one. So the fellowship is a partnership between Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism and Wisconsin Public Radio. Mm-hmm. So the fellow is a reporter and does investigative stories for the radio and for WisconsinWatch.org.
What kind of work did you do? I mean, did you jump right in and take on a major reporting project?
Yeah, okay. So when I started, WCIJ was right in the middle of its drinking water project, Failure at the Faucet, which was a great series of stories about every drinking water issue in the state you could imagine. And one of the first things I did was take all of those print stories and produce them for the radio. So in addition to being on WisconsinWatch.org and in newspapers across the state, there were also versions of the story aired statewide on WPR.
Bridget, did you have a sense at the time that investigative journalism, wasn't as available in mainstream media as it used to be, and that there was a need for that kind of work?
As a young reporter, investigative journalism was definitely something that I never imagined that I could be doing at the beginning of my career. I always thought that it was, something that you could do after you put in 20 years.
But something you might aspire to.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I was very lucky to be able to learn the skills right at the beginning of my career. But yeah, I definitely think it's something that is sort of disappearing step by step. Yeah. So I think places like WCIJ that are teaching younger journalists the skills can only strengthen journalism in the future.
Seems to me you've got other partners too, don't you?
Oh, sure. We work closely with Wisconsin Public Television, and then we collaborate on an ad hoc basis with news organizations across the country.
Project-based, is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And also we've collaborated a bit with the O'Brien Fellowship for Public Service at Marquette, Dave Umhafer. We recently published some of his journalism students' stories. So there are lots of things in the works that I think will help spread the truth through this new style of collaboration.
Dee, I mean, this is a blessing and a curse. You're filling a necessary function in American democratic journalism, journalism in American democracy, and yet, this is probably not going to come back in the newspaper industry or in the journalism industry. Your organization and others like it, are we beginning to see some momentum around that as being an essential part of the journalism of the future?
I think so. I think what's happened is we were one of the first, if not the first, state-based investigative nonprofit news centers, and now they're all over the country, and not just state-based ones. You've got issue-based investigative and issue-based news centers that are nonprofit. So what you're seeing, I think, is a shift it's not a wholesale shift, but away from a for-profit to a nonprofit model. It's not going to solve every problem because, of course, we rely on the kindness of friends and strangers to continue this journalism. We're not selling advertising. You know, we sometimes earn some money by doing stories on behalf of journalism partners. But yes, I think what you're seeing is just a restructuring of journalism to include centers like ours, and we're filling in a gap that had opened up because of the lack of funding, the collapse of the advertising model, primarily for newspapers.
Now that you mention it, the Marshall Project comes to mind.
Sure.
It's a similar, focused on criminal.
Focusing on the criminal
One of our former interns works at Wisconsin Health News. That's another example.
Right.
It's a niche, publication. It's an online publication. So those types of organizations are proliferating across the country, and we're part of that. It's not the complete answer, obviously. We still need the New York Times and the Washington Post and ABC and NPR and all the big major national news organizations, but it's organizations like ours that can sort of fill in the gaps on more of a statewide and regional basis.
Is it accurate to say, Bridget, that this is the kind of work that Wisconsin Public Radio couldn't do on its own?
Definitely. I mean, our news staff, we cover the whole state. We have bureaus in every major city in the state, and so we are very busy covering the day's news. And so before WCIJ, doing an investigative project happened every once in a while, but maybe not as often as we would like. And so with the fellow, we now have had one other fellow, and we have one on the way starting next month. So with the work of the fellow, we're really able to get more investigative stories on our airwaves, which is great.
Andy, does the work get disseminated as much as you would like, or are there still missed opportunities there?
We're always looking for more ways to disseminate the information. As Dee mentioned, we do have a new partnership, an experiment actually, with the Associated Press. Right. And more than 100 new news organizations across the country have used our content in just the past couple months as a result of that partnership. We take great pride in the editorial approach at the center. We're independent, nonpartisan, nonprofit. We're guided by 3 values: protect the vulnerable, expose wrongdoing, seek solutions. We don't want to just point out problems. We want to leave people with a sense of hope, a sense of the possibilities for what can be done when we document a problem. And we do work closely with the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at UW-Madison. We're actually housed in the J School through a facilities use agreement with the university, and we hire paid student interns, and we also collaborate with classes in the J School to produce the content that then is distributed across the country.
Before we go to a break, then describe the fundraising philosophy.
Well, the fundraising philosophy, first of all, is all funders are publicly identified, and no funder has any say in any editorial decisions. About 65% of our money comes from foundations, and those range from small family foundations to large private and public
foundations. Do you vet those foundations?
We vet them to the extent that they have to certify that they're not going to have any voice in any of our editorial decisions, and they have to agree, of course, to be publicly identified. And when it comes to major donors, we even disclose exactly how much money we receive. And if there are any strings attached, like the money is dedicated to, say, coverage of environmental issues or that type of thing, we would also disclose that in the coverage. About 20% of our funding comes from individual donors. That's the fastest growing part of our funding picture right now. We're also paid to produce content. For example, our collaborations with the School of Journalism are funded through a Wisconsin Idea Grant at the university, and we've got one more year left on that grant, and as always, we'll be looking for ways to sustain that in the future.
Well, we'll talk about the Watchdog Club, we'll talk about some of the stories that you're most proud of, and we'll talk about Party when we come back right after this.
Summer clearance
clearance starts now at Wild Easttown Honda. Lease an Accord for $189. Imagine an all-new Accord for only $189 at Wild Easttown Honda in Madison. It's gotta be wild.
It's the Labor Day sale at Denver Mattress. Choose from 10 queen-size adjustable bed sets, all under $999. Or the Summit Queen mattress for $179.99. Save $550 with the purchase of an Elite, Luxe, or Breeze mattress. And best yet, choose from free Bose noise-masking earbuds, a free $300 Furniture Row gift certificate, or a free 50-inch LED TV with any purchase of $19.99 or more. Labor Day savings today, only at Denver Mattress.
Parents and school officials asked Superintendent Tony Evers to revoke the license of teachers who preyed on our kids. One teacher viewed and shared pornographic images at school. Another used Snapchat to ask her student to have sex in a storage closet. Yet another teacher was caught with his pants down in the classroom. State Superintendent Tony Evers had the power to revoke their licenses, but he refused, leaving our kids unprotected.
It's really great saving 11% off everything at Menards. Our family loves taking on new projects. Right now, we're updating our kitchen. From the Clearview cabinets with Riverstone quartz countertop to the Moen faucet. We're saving 11% on all of it. And the 11% savings keeps us coming back. We saved over $900 on our kitchen, and we're already planning our next project.
Your next project starts right now with 11% off everything at Menards.
Save big money at Menards. Summer clearance starts now at Wild Easttown Honda. Lease an all-wheel drive CRV for $199. Imagine a new CRV for only $199 at Wild Easttown Honda in Madison. It's gotta be wild.
Back with Andy Hall and Dee Hall and Bridget Bowden and Bridget Bowden, and we are talking about the Wisconsin Center for Investigative Journalism. I'm going to get it right, Bridget, before the show's over, I swear. I just want to mention quickly the Watchdog Club, because it's a place for individual contributors who really support the mission to participate, and I'd like people to know about that.
Yeah, we just launched the Watchdog Club last year. It is for people contributing at least $1,000 a year. When we launched the club, we had about 25 individuals. There are now 50 in the club. That could be like a household membership. This is a core strategy at the center for the sustainability of this kind of work, the production of investigative journalism and the training of the next generation. We welcome donations of any amount, anytime, but we are doing some special things with the Watchdog Club members, and they're really making a difference.
That's cool. Dee, talk about the stories that either you are most proud of or you think have had the biggest impact.
So Bridget mentioned our Failure at the Faucet series, which we won a national award for. That really uncovered some problems and risks that people have in our drinking water system, which I think most people were not aware of, partly because we are awash in water. I'm not being ironic here with the flooding, but we have Lake Michigan, we have the Mississippi River, we have, 14,000 lakes, and everybody feels like we have all this great water.
It's been one of our great assets.
Some of it is not drinkable, and it's not drinkable for a variety of reasons, and we sort of picked apart those reasons. So that was one of our, probably one of our best projects. We wrote a couple of years ago about solitary confinement conditions and abuse allegations at Waupun Correctional Institution. That was a very difficult story to do, but we documented almost 50 serious allegations of physical or severe psychological abuse that prisoners were claiming that they were suffering from there. Right now we're doing a story called, or a series called Undemocratic, where we're trying to look at the individual aspects of what's going on in our political system now, and why are people feeling kind of disenfranchised. And
secrecy and power versus the people.
That's it. Secrecy and power versus the people. So we're looking, this is a student-driven project. It's my students from my 400-level investigative journalism class at UW-Madison. We're looking at some big things like redistricting and voter ID, and how quickly bills go through the legislature, and whether people and the opposition party have a chance to really look at what's being passed before it's being passed. So those are the kind of issues, overriding issues, that we like to focus on. Last year, another student project that I edited from my students in the 400 level class looked at whistleblowers and how they essentially almost never win in state government. There's a law that's supposed to specifically protect them, but from person after person we talk to, they simply, when they blow the whistle, they would suffer consequences, and that's not the way it's supposed to be.
The last time you were on this show was with Masood Akhtar. We were talking about hate and some of the work that you were doing around
That's
that.
another collaboration. So ProPublica organized a national collaboration of whichever news organizations wanted to join in. We joined in. We looked at our hate incidents going up in Wisconsin. What are the groups that are out there operating, and how are they operating? And out of that, we came up with several stories that really show that, in fact, these incidents are on the rise. And we profiled a particular group called the Proud Boys, which would not call itself a hate group, but it's a group that wants to go back to traditional values, traditional Western values, which a lot of people feel like is sort of a term for some other things. So those are the kind of stories that we've been able to do in collaboration and on our own.
All right, 10 years, that deserves a party.
It does.
You're going to throw one.
Best one we've ever had. Coming up on Thursday, September the 6th, at the UW Memorial Union. It's going to start at 5 o'clock. There'll be some live music, heavy appetizers, a cash bar, some celebration, a lively discussion, actually, about the things we're talking about here today, the future of state and local investigative journalism. And we're thrilled that Jessica Arp from here at WISC will be there as a master of ceremonies.
Right. So just to close, Bridget, does this give you some optimism about the future of the work upon which you've embarked?
Absolutely. You know, it's an unusual time to be a journalist, especially an early career journalist, but I feel very lucky to have been able to work with the center, and hopeful that I'll be able to continue doing this kind of work.
Well, as I said, I think we're lucky to have the center here, so thank you all very much. Happy anniversary. We're going to come back and wrap up For the Record right after this.
Decade, WISC TV3 and Channel 3000 have paid tribute to top-notch teachers nominated by our viewers. Every month, we spotlight and salute an area teacher, and we want to hear about your favorite. If you know a teacher who deserves to be recognized as a top-notch teacher, send us a letter, an email, or nominate a teacher at channel3000.com.
Top-notch teachers, sponsored by Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries and by Concordia University.
This is an exciting time in the energy industry.
The world is changing, and we want to work toward common goals.
Toward a cleaner energy future, driven by innovation, powered by working together.
By working with customers, we provide customers what they want.
MG&E is your community energy company for the future, powering our community, sharing your values, partnering to meet your needs. Visit Energy2030together.com to create a more sustainable future together.
Come out to Middleton's Good Neighbor Festival. This end of the summer celebration offers a full weekend of free live entertainment. There'll be 3 stages of great music and 25 different bands. Plus, you'll find fun things to do for the whole family. Go on lots of carnival rides, play games, browse the craft fair, register for the 5K run or walk, catch the 2 parades, and don't forget to bring your appetite. Don't miss Middleton's Good Neighbor Festival. For complete information, visit goodneighborfestival.com.
It's the Labor Day sale at Denver Mattress. Choose from 10 queen-size adjustable bed sets, all under $9.99. Or the Summit Queen mattress for $179.99. Save $550 with the purchase of an Elite, Luxe, or Breeze mattress. And best yet, choose from free Bose noise-masking earbuds, a free $300 Furniture Row gift certificate, or a free 50-inch LED TV with any purchase of $19.99 or more. Labor Day savings today, only at Denver Mattress.
Our thanks to Andy and Dee and Bridget and you for joining us. We'll see you next week on For the Record.